Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be filming my April wrap-up and talking about all the books that I read over the course of April of 2020, and I have decided officially that these are my wrap-up earrings that I'm going to wear in every wrap-up because they have stars and I'm giving out star ratings, so I'm going to be wearing these for every wrap-up. I've actually been wearing these in a lot of wrap-up videos. I've been trying to wear them in every wrap-up since I think like September, so if you see these, it's time to dish out some reviews. So to be honest, I had a really slow reading month and April felt like it went by like that, and I only read a total of 10 books, which I know sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot for me. Like normally I read like at least 15 books. So this felt like kind of like a bad reading month in my opinion. I mean, I did get a new favorite book of all time out of this month, so that's a really good thing. But for the most part, I had a really slow reading month and I really just like took my time when reading each book. And yeah, so let's get into those 10 books. So the first book that I read in the month of April is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, and this one is an adult contemporary that's actually been getting a lot of buzz recently because it got made into a Hulu TV show. And this one basically follows a small town suburbia that's very conformist, and it's called Shaker Heights, and all the grass is the same length and houses are painted certain colors for certain houses, and it's all just very conformist. So basically this follows one of those families in Shaker Heights, and it is the Richardson family, and the head of the family, the matriarch, is Elena Richardson. And basically a two-person family of Mia, who is an artist, and her daughter Pearl come to Shaker Heights because they usually like float between town to town and they just live all over the place and they're not really in like one set place. And basically they rent out a house from Elena Richardson, who is the soccer mom who I mentioned before. So basically there is a court case that kind of shakes up the town, and it's between a mother who left her baby, her Chinese baby, at a fire station, and then she gets in a better situation and she wants to get the baby back from the family that took the baby into their arms, you know, adoptively, whatever. And so basically Mia and Elena are on opposite sides of like the court case in terms of opinion, and it kind of just is about like the drama surrounding that court case and like how it affects everybody in the town. So this book was probably one of the most disappointing reads of this year for me so far, and I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I want to start off by saying that I really liked the plot of this book. I really liked how it dealt with issues like racism and classism and everything like that, and like what it means to be conformist. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I really liked Celeste Ng's writing style. I thought it was really just straight to the point, but also like pretty and eloquent at the same time. So I didn't have any problem with Celeste Ng's writing or with the plot itself, but personally it just kind of dragged on for me, and I wanted less of like the suburban drama and more about like the court case and what was going to happen to the Chinese mother and her baby. Like I was more interested in that instead of, you know, the drama. So I don't know, I just found that I don't love reading about the problems of rich people. That's just my own opinion. I really do like the plot of this book and the writing. It's just I wasn't so much into like the slow build of drama and just like the trials and tribulations of rich people. Like I just honestly didn't care. So I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was just average for me, but I have watched the first episode of the TV show, and I'm probably going to watch the rest of it because Cindy over at Cindy Reads, I think that's what her channel is called, she's hosting the Asian Readathon, and towards the end of the month of May she's going to be hosting a watch along for the Hulu adaptation. So I will actually link her announcement video down below if you're interested in participating. But yeah, this one was a very big disappointment for me. So despite Little Fires Everywhere not being a very large book, it took me over a week and a half to read it, which is like crazy for me because normally I can read a book like that in like 3 days easy, but it took me a week and a half. And so I was kind of feeling slumpy and I needed a pick-me-up, and I wanted to read a feel-good book that I just knew I was going to love. So I picked up The Lost Hero by Rick Riordan, and this is the first book in the Heroes of Olympus series. This was my first time reading the series. I read Percy Jackson the Olympian series twice. I read it once when I was a kid, and once last October I read the whole thing, and I really wanted to get back into Camp Half-Blood, and I was really nervous about this one because I didn't know how he was going to like continue the series after like ending it on such a strong note. Even though this is like its own series, like it still takes place at Camp Half-Blood, and I think Percy makes an appearance like halfway through the series. But I absolutely love this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. There's a whole new cast of characters and I love all of them, and I just had a really good time reading this. I can't say anything else other than that. It was so much fun. This was exactly the pick-me-up I needed. It definitely got me out of my reading slump, and I can't wait to continue the series. I plan on reading the next book in May for the Believe-a-thon, which is a middle grade readathon. So I can't wait to finish the series. It's been so much fun. So I'm actually surprised I read this one because it's freaking huge. I think it's like nearly 600 pages. So I'm surprised I read it because normally I shy away from big books, but I guess when it's Rick Riordan, it just flies by. So yeah, I'm super happy that I read this one, and like I said, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So if you guys have watched any of my TBR videos, you know that every month I pick 2 books to read from my really long list of books I want to read on Goodreads, and I basically take all of those titles and I put them into a name generator, and I let it randomly pick 2 books for me to read from that list of like 1,000 books. And so one of the ones that it picked for me to read in April is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I believe it's a literary fiction book, and it basically follows like this family called the Bonita family through multiple generations and kind of like the different things going on in their family, I guess. And this has a lot of like magical realism in it as well. And I was really enjoying this like for the first part of it. And I really wanted to love this because this is like a classic, and Gabriel Garcia Marquez's work is like very like regarded in the book community, and this was actually translated from, I believe, either Spanish or Portuguese or something. I'm not 100% sure. I stopped reading this 22 pages in because there was like a mention that the wife in the story, she wore a chastity belt to bed every night in fear that her husband was going to rape her. And then after that, she implied that she just gave in, and then she also implied that all of their children were born out of rape, and I just really did not want to read about that because that's a subject that's kind of touchy for me, and I just really did not want to read that. Fortunately, I DNF'd this one 22 pages in, which I'm super sad about. I don't know if his other books include such harsh topics, but you know, I'd be interested to read something else by him. But I'm sad because I started like annotating this and like writing in it, and I had like sticky notes in here, and I just really thought I was going to like love this, but unfortunately it's got some triggers for me and I just won't be continuing it. So I'll probably be donating this to my local Goodwill. So after that fun reading experience, I needed a contemporary pick-me-up, something that was modern, something fun. So I decided to pick up Here We Are Now by Jasmine Warga, and this one is like a really short book. I finished it within one night, and this one has been on my TBR for a little while now. I read Other Words from Home by Jasmine Warga last year, which was her middle grade debut. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and it was on my favorite books of 2019 list. This one didn't really do the same thing for me. So this one basically follows a girl whose name is Talia, I think her name's Talia. And basically, her dad is not in the picture. He hasn't been for a really long time, and one day he just legit shows up on her doorstep. This book's kind of like fan fiction, like what if my dad came back from the grocery store? Anyway, so yeah, this book basically follows our main character Talia reconnecting with her dad, who is actually a rock star, which is why I said this book kind of reads like a fan fiction. But anyway, so yeah, she's connecting with her rock star dad, and while her mom is in, I believe, another state or another country, she decides when he shows up on the doorstep, we're gonna go back to his hometown because her grandpa, who she had never met, was dying. So she decided to go with him back to his hometown, get to know him more. And this book was... So I really enjoyed the premise of this book, and I thought that it wasn't a bad basis for a story, but at the same time, this kind of felt like the bare bones of a story, and it just wasn't very well fleshed out in my opinion. Like, the characters were very two-dimensional, and I just didn't really feel anything for them, and you're kind of just like thrust into the story, and you don't really like get to know the main character before she goes off to get to know her dad. And it's like, whoa, I want to get to know the main character first before I learn stuff about her dad. Like, and it was a strange experience. I don't know. I gave it 3 stars because I don't think it was like horrible or anything. I just didn't love it, and it was kind of just middle of the road for me. I just wish that this one had been, I don't know, this. So unfortunately, this one was also disappointing for me. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars, so yeah. So the next book that I read in April is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu, and this one is a young adult fantasy, and it is also a retelling of sorts. So basically this follows the story of Nannerl, who is Wolfgang Mozart's sister, who is also a prodigy, but who was overlooked because she was a woman. So I wasn't really aware of like anything that had to do with Mozart or his life, like, you know, in real life. Let me give you a little bit of background. Mozart went on this like, or Wolfgang, I'll call him because they're technically both Mozarts because they're brother and sister. But anyways, they go on this tour across Europe and perform for different kings and queens and everything like that. But of course, Wolfgang is always like at the forefront, and Nannerl's kind of like to the side, and she's like playing minor instruments. So she didn't really like get the recognition that Wolfgang got. And apparently while they were on, in real life, like while they were on their tour, they were bored during their carriage ride, so they decided to come up with a fake kingdom, and they basically just talked about it verbally and like made it up, and it was called the Kingdom of Back. So basically Marie Lu took that little piece of history, like that concept, and she made it into a book. And I absolutely loved this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It is definitely one of my new favorites. This was so fantastic. I just really love how she took a real life historical moment and she just made that into something so much more, and it was such a pleasure to read. And I also really liked how she didn't pit the siblings against each other because they were both prodigies. Like, they both supported each other, and they didn't like she didn't pit them against each other, and I just really loved that about it. And apparently in real life they were like supportive of each other too, and they didn't like go against each other or like compete. And I just really love that. Like, I just love some good sibling relationships. So I just absolutely love this. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but I like tabbed the hell out of this book because I just absolutely loved it. So this one kind of feels like Peter Pan or like Alice in Wonderland, and it just feels like a fairy tale, and I just absolutely loved it because there's the Kingdom of Back, and it randomly like makes itself known to our main character Nannerl, and she goes on adventures through the Kingdom of Back, and she like makes a deal with like a devilish type, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I just cannot say enough good things about this story. This is definitely one of the best YA fantasy standalones that I have ever read, and I just have not stopped thinking about it since I read it. It was just so fantastical and whimsical and magical, and I just absolutely loved it. So if you're looking for something that is very escapist, it also has like chunks of real history, then I highly recommend this one. It was fantastic. This one is definitely going to be on my favorite books of 2020 list. I already know it, so yeah, highly recommend this one. So the next 4 books that I read were for the Reading Rush, and it was being hosted by Ariel Bassett, another booktuber, and a couple of other booktubers, and I will link her announcement video down below if you're interested in hearing more about what the Reading Rush was about. But basically it's a reading challenge, readathon thing, where you read as many books as you can while following certain prompts within like the weekend. So I believe this took place from April 16th to April 19th, so it was like a 3/4 day reading rush. The first thing that I read was Amulet Vol.5 by Kazuki Wishi. This is a middle grade / YA graphic novel series that I have been reading since I believe December, and I've been absolutely loving it. I've been reading a volume a month, and this one is just a lot of fun. It basically follows a brother and sister who stumble upon a magical world with a bunch of different like zany, wacky, creepy characters, and there's an amulet that our main character Emily finds, and it holds a prophecy, and it's just so fantastic. I love everything about it. The art style is just absolutely wonderful and creepy, and I just really love this. So if you're looking for something that's like fun, escapist, it's very light because it's middle grade, and it's just overall a good time, then highly recommend this. It's fantastic. Like all the other volumes, I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. So I didn't do a very good job of staying to the reading rush prompts. I'll read those off to you if you're interested in knowing what they were, but it was read a book with a house on the cover, read a book in the same room the whole time, read a book set somewhere you wish you could go, and read a book that will make you smile. So I didn't really follow the prompts. I just wanted to read as many things as I could within that like 4-day period. So anyways, the next thing that I read for the reading rush is Saga Vol.4 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This is a adult sci-fi graphic novel series that I've been reading since January, and I've been reading a volume a month and absolutely loving it. And this one basically follows our two main characters, Alana and Marco, and the moon and planet that they respectively lived on were at war, and Marco was actually Alana's prisoner, but they ended up falling in love and escaping, and she left the draft along with her prisoner, which was Marco, and they end up falling in love, having a baby, and then basically they are being chased across the galaxy by their respective armies and also by assassins who were hired, and so they basically have a bounty on their head. The baby's kind of considered like a bastard child, and it's just kind of about them on the run, and I've been really enjoying it. I don't know what to say other than that I gave it 5 stars. I've given every volume 5 stars. I just absolutely love it. So yeah, it's definitely for adults. Keep that in mind. There's a lot of graphic stuff. There's like nudity, gore, everything like that, so just keep that in mind. But this is super fun of a series. It's easily bingeable, so yeah. The next book that I read for the reading rush was Meeting the Huntress by Talia Hibbert, and this one is a adult romance novella, and it is basically a romance between a werewolf hunter and a werewolf, and this was so much fun, like more fun than I thought it would be. Like I knew it was going to be good because it's Talia Hibbert, and I love Talia Hibbert's writing, and I own nearly all of her books. But anyways, this one was just a lot of fun. I don't really know what else to say about it. It was a novella, so it was only like 170 or so pages. I finished it in like a day and a half. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was so much fun. I didn't give it the full 5 out of 5 stars because there was definitely like that cringe element of it being between, you know, a werewolf and a werewolf hunter. But the writing itself was amazing as always from Talia Hibbert. It was hilarious. The banter had me just rollicking on the floor. It was a really good time, and it was just so swoony. So if you're looking for something really fun and like a really nice little like pick-me-up, then I highly recommend Meeting the Huntress by Talia Hibbert. So the last book that I read for the reading rush was You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This one is an adult thriller, and this one was actually the April pick for the Literally Dead Book Club hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala. She hosts an online book club where every month she picks a thriller, and then she hosts a live show with another booktuber, and they discuss the book. And so this month the pick was You Are Not Alone. So this one basically follows a woman named Shay Miller who witnesses someone committing suicide at the train station, and she's just overcome with like shock and grief, and she kind of becomes like obsessed to a point of learning about that woman who committed suicide and what her life was like, and in doing so she kind of becomes entangled with the woman who committed suicide. Her name was Amanda, and her friend group, and her friend group is definitely not what it seems. This one, if I had to describe it, I would say that it's kind of like an adult Pretty Little Liars in a way. That's the best way I can describe it. So if you liked Pretty Little Liars, maybe you'll like You Are Not Alone. This one actually took me by surprise, and I actually ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars, which is crazy because I don't even think I've ever given a thriller 5 out of 5 stars. So this one really, really took me by surprise. And this one just like, it kept me on the edge of my seat. I really liked it, and it kind of read like an episode of like Law and Order, but it was from the perspective of the victim rather than like the police unit, and then like at the end the police come into the picture and save the day, kind of. So I don't know, this kind of just like read like a Law and Order episode, and I guess that's why I like it, because I love Law and Order. So yeah, I absolutely love this. Like I said, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. So if you're looking for like a drama-filled, suspenseful thriller, then I highly recommend this one. It's definitely like the best one I've read so far, because like I said, I have not given a thriller 5 out of 5 stars before, so this is a new experience. So the last book that I read and completed in the month of April was City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book in the Mortal Instruments series and in the Shadowhunters universe, and this one basically just follows after the events of the first book, and I can't really tell you what this is about because, like I said, it's the second book in a series, but you probably already know what it's about because everybody and their mother has read the Shadowhunters series except for me. I like annotated the heck out of this book. Like, I started doing like a new annotating system, so that's why all of my books are like heavily tabbed now. I ended up giving this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did not like it as much as I liked the first one, and a lot of people say it's like quite the opposite for them. Like, they like the second one more than the first one, but I liked the first one better. I definitely have like some unpopular opinions. I really don't like Jace as a character. Like, everyone on Twitter is like a huge Jace Wayland stan, and I'm just not. Like, I don't like Jace. Like, he's like weird and like a pervert, and he's like with Clary, and he's like, we can be together even though we're brother and sister.
Oh, he needs some milk.
Yeah, I don't really like Jace at all. I don't really like Simon either. I just don't really like the petty like drama that was between Simon and Jace throughout this book. Like, it was just very like a masculinity war that I just did not like to witness. So the characters that I do like, however, I like Clary, the main character. I like Alec as a character. I like Isabel. I love Magnus Bane. Magnus Bane is probably my favorite character. Of course I resonate with the gays, but hey, what's new? But anyways, yeah, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did not love it as much as the first one, but I still will be continuing in the series. So yeah. Really quickly, I thought I should mention the 3 books that I am in the middle of that I did not complete. The first one is the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This one is an adult horror novel, and I'm only like 120 pages into it, and I didn't get to finish it, so I will be finishing it in like this first week of May. Really enjoying it so far. I just didn't get around to finishing it. The next book I am, I think, only like 25% of the way through, and that is Love Boat Taipei by Abigail Hing Wen. This one was one that I picked from my name generator for my want to read list that's like 1,000 books long. It picked for me to read Love Boat Taipei, and I got this one on audio, and I'm only like 25% of the way through. I don't really love the writing so far, I will say that. I'm probably going to end up finishing this for the Asian Readathon that's being hosted by Cindy. I'll link her channel down below. I'll probably finish this for that, but I just like have not been loving it so far, so hopefully it gets better. The last book, I'm probably like 75% of the way through, and that is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. And this one, I'm like I said, 75% of the way through. I have been stuck at that point for like 2 months now, and I just need to finish it. But I'm probably just going to end up finishing it for Sapphic Thon, which is at the end of May. So yeah, those are the 3 books that I'm like halfway, 75% of the way through. So I think that concludes my April wrap up. Like I said, I didn't read as many books as I would like to have read in April, but I feel like 10 is still like a pretty solid number. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss a single upload. And let me know what you read in April and your opinions. Let's just have a little bookish chat in the comments. So thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye!